Hey everyone, this is Fabio and welcome back. This is part 3 of my game collection here in London. Today we're gonna look at my PS Vita and Game Boy Advance collection. Since on both cases my collection is not that big for both consoles, I decided to put them together in order to make a decent video. And we're gonna start with the Vita, which I think it's a fantastic, absolutely amazing portable system. Way too underrated, I think, for bad decisions by Sony in particular. I think Sony is handling the Vita in the worst way possible, way worse than what happened with the Wii U to me. I mean, the Vita has an incredible potential that was not even, like, they barely scratched the surface with that system. And it's really sad to see how badly it did. But let's just go with the games. Let's start with this one, Soul Sacrifice. I haven't played this one yet, and for what I know, it's a Monster Hunter kind of game. It looks absolutely amazing just on the art behind, and we'll see. It's interesting that I bought this towards the beginning of my when I started to buy games for the Vita, mainly because I wanted to ramp up my collection a bit, because strange enough this was very cheap when I bought it. And as I said, that it's strange because most of the time Vita games are quite expensive. That's also one of the reasons why I don't have so many games, because they're quite pricey. It's not that there aren't. I mean, there are plenty of games for the Vita, even like Vita exclusives. Because if you start to go into the PSN, I mean, the Vita has probably one of the biggest library you can get. It's simply like Vita games are quite pricey, and I love these small blue boxes. The only problem is that all Vita games they don't have anything other than these really small cartridge kind of things. That's a shame. Next, the Jak and Daxter trilogy. Played and beat the first one, the Precursor Legacy. It's amazing. It's a great 3D platformer. Very frustrating for me, and because I'm very rusted and out of practice with these kind of games. I played most of Jak and Daxter 2. Still need to beat it because there was one part that was one of the most frustrating experience I had in recent years in gaming, and that was a sort of skateboarding mission. And it's also very different from the first one. All of a sudden we have guns, we can steal sort of cars and motorcycles. I mean, what's that? Grand Theft Auto? GTA, the Jak and Daxter version? But sooner or later we'll go back to this, finish 2, play 3, so I can play also the Lost Frontiers. I really like the Jak and Daxter universe. I love these games. Like, Daxter is one of the most hilarious sidekicks in video game. Great package, by the way. I love these combos they're doing for the Vita. I know there is also the Sly Cooper, but I never played those. Who knows? Maybe I will get those. Apparently they're really good. I think there's also for Ratchet and Clank, maybe. We'll see. But Jak and Daxter, great trilogy. This is also a very interesting one. When I saw it, I couldn't resist because it's very also nostalgic in a way for me. And that it's, what's the title? J-Star Victory versus Plus. It's such a weird title. Basically, how it's even called, like J something. I mean, it's all about this manga and anime characters fighting. It's a sort of tournament game. You can choose teams with these fake characters from all manga. I can see there's Goku or characters from Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, even Medaka Box. That was very surprising, but it's a lot of fun, I have to say. I played a bit, like some hours or so. It's a lot of fun. It's really weird, but also seeing all these characters together, because unfortunately I barely read mangas these days, but back in the days, especially when I lived in Italy, I read them a lot. I mean, I was a huge manga fan, like especially between the end of elementary school and the end of high school. I was constantly reading mangas. I love it. But especially when I moved to the UK and I basically stopped buying mangas, and reading on the internet, on websites, basically killed the pleasure to me. So it completely ruined it, and I stopped doing it. It's a very, very sad story. But seeing this game, I was very curious about it. It wasn't too expensive, so I decided to get it, and it's a lot of fun. Of course, it's a sort of fighting game. You can play this 1 hour here and there to have some fun, and that's what I'm doing basically. There is a story mode, but it's absolutely crazy and not the main reason to play. The main reason is so you can play with having a team with, I don't know, like Vegeta, I don't know, other characters from this series like Kenshin. I love that manga. Seiya and all others. It's a really fun, crazy game. And a surprise that we have this also on the Vita. Conception 2, Children of the Seven Stars by Atlus. I've played this for like 6 hours or so, and I still want to finish this because it's. I remember Emperor Fox didn't like this very much. Basically, I thought it was last year video that he made about like best games that he played, and this was the only one that he didn't really like. I think it's okay. Maybe these all like innuendos and references and all are, yeah, they, what can I say? I mean, I don't play this game for that reasons. I mean, but it's a fun RPG. It's nothing spectacular, but it looks very. I love this anime style. It looks very gorgeous. The children's system, it's interesting, let's say, but it's also fun to have this team of small creatures basically following you. Like, it's a fun little RPG. It's nothing amazing. It's probably not the best game Atlus did, but it's also fun. I think it's kind of an early Vita RPG, so I don't mind it at all. I mean, it's not my favorite game on the system, but it's quite fun. This Gaia 3, Absence of Detention. Oh man, I just scratched the surface of this, just basically to try it once. Like, let's see how it is. And I played, I think, for 4 hours. Basically, in 2 days, I played 4 hours of this. This is hilarious, so much fun. I'm so glad to have this strategy, absolutely crazy strategy RPG on the Vita. I'm surprised that there is so much voice acting. And I decided to put the Japanese one because it's even more funny in a way, and it made more sense to me. And I cannot wait to go back to this. Apparently it's a very, very, very big one, and you can reach level 9,999 and deal millions of points of damage. I mean, it's this Gaia series is very famous for his humor, for his wackiness, I should say. And I'm very happy to have tried this one, and I know that I will play more this Gaia games in the future. I think Alex Return to Mother Base is a big fan of this series, and I don't remember, is this Gaia 4 available on the Vita? Not sure, but 3, it's a good starting point for me. Now I want to play more, but first I will try in the future to finish this. I don't know when, but it's a really, really fun strategy RPG. Now this, I think, it's a must for the Vita, and probably these kind of games offer their best on the Vita rather than PS3, 360. It really depends, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think it's a perfect portable experience. That it's Walking Dead Season 1 plus the 400 days. I still need to get Season 2. I really want to. But that's the problem. Since it's on the Vita, it's quite expensive, and I think I've heard that Telltale is trying to do, or it's working on, I don't remember now, but a Season 3, and I think they're not going to do this on the Vita anymore. I mean, the Vita, it's such a failure, unfortunately, that companies are simply not going to support it. We all know about these games. These Telltale Walking Dead games are very emotional, with lots of really hard choices, and these are what make this game amazing. story of Lee and Clementine. The ending was so powerful. And I remember one of the craziest moments for me was the cannibals. And just saying that, I was like, holy shit! I was like, I had goosebumps during that scene. And I also love the 400 days. It was super short, but I love, especially at the end, how all these characters came together, basically. All depending on the choices you made before. I mean, excellent. I love these Telltale games. I'm really curious for whatever reason about the Borderlands Telltale game, but I'm not sure if there is a Vita version. I'm afraid, because of what I said before, the Vita Telltale just stopped making these versions for the Vita, which is a shame. I think that this is the perfect way to play these Telltale games, without a doubt. I don't see why you need to play on the PS3, for example, because they look gorgeous on the Vita. They work very well, and they're portable. So now this is one of the most famous, one of the biggest, and one of the most beloved games on the Vita. Personally, I still haven't touched it because it's a huge, humongous game. I will play it eventually, also because it's, I believe, the most beloved game in the series, and that is, of course, Persona 4 Golden. I don't know what to say. As I said, I never touched a Persona game. Yes, that's true. I said it. And I believe that this could be a good entry point. I heard that this is even better than the original Persona game, Persona 4 on PS2. So I don't know when, but eventually I will play this. I'm very curious about it because it's really high regarded, and people even said it's like the best JRPG ever made. We'll see about that, but still, I'm very curious about Persona 4 and the Persona series. During my the DS collection video with another Shin Megami Tensei game, I said that I'm really not into like the combat, the demon system, but we'll see with Persona 4 if that I manage to handle them better. We'll see, but super curious about Persona 4 Golden. Found it for a good price, and I heard this is an absolute must for the system. So there we go. Oh boy, this game. Freedom Wars, one of the most frustrating but at the same time interesting games on the Vita, I think. This is an insanely difficult and frustrating for good reasons and really bad reasons at the same time. I made a video response to Steven the Lucky Gamer about like pushing through in gaming, and this was there since it's a constant pushing through. It's really hard, really challenging, but it's also really good in its own way. Like the setting, it's very interesting. It's a very original, I think, game for certain things. It's a third-person shooter mainly, with some RPG elements here and there. But fighting those giant robots, the abductors, it will be one of the most frustrating experiences in your life. I can guarantee that. But it's at the same time, destroying an abductor, it's one of the most rewarding experiences you ever get. So you have to balance that. Beware, I mean, this is very frustrating, but it's also a very, very good game on the Vita. I think it's an absolute must. But boy, sometimes you really want to snap the Vita on your knee. One of the games that made me very curious about the Vita. Just a second, let's do this. And that is Gravity Rush. This is an absolute must on the Vita. Basically, this is the game the Vita was made for. And it's a fantastic, absolute gorgeous and unique 3D open world platformer. I love everything about it. I love the style. I love the gameplay. I didn't have any difficulties with like the camera and everything. Yes, it's not ideal, but it's very engaging the way like you have to move your Vita, you have to use the touch screen, you have to use the tilt controls of moving it. It's, as I say, it's engaging. Yeah, it's not extremely easy, but it's such an amazing experience. I love the world. I love the characters. It's so cool, but I'm so sad, mad, and what can you say? I understand perfectly why they made the remake on PS4 and the sequel Gravity Rush 2 is going to be on PS4 and not on the Vita. I am extremely pissed off about that, but resigned at the same time because the Vita is a failure. They're not going to make big games for it, unfortunately. But to me, this series should not be on anything else than the Vita. Not on the PS4, because everything that should be on the Vita, that it's there, it's just because companies said it's not going to make money on the Vita, let's slap it on PS4. That's it. That's the only explanation. And especially with Gravity Rush, I mean, this should be Vita exclusive, not on PS4, but I understand that companies need to make money. I couldn't resist buying this game, and that it's the Final Fantasy X 10-2 HD Remaster. I cannot wait to replay it. Interesting enough, I never really played Final Fantasy X. I owned it twice actually on the PS2. I sold the first time, and now I own it on PS2, but never really had the chance to play it properly. A good friend of mine had it on PS2 and we played together for hours, but I never owned it because instead of having a PS2, I had an Xbox. On the other hand, I played a lot of 10-2 for whatever reason, really a lot, and I don't mind that game as much. I mean, there is a lot to say about it, but I don't mind it, and I cannot wait to play this HD remake on the Vita, because with this I will be able to fully experience Final Fantasy X and 10-2. Excellent. I cannot wait to play this. Really happy. This is one of the few games that I bought for just collecting purposes. I mean, I can play it due to the fact that the Vita is region free, which is amazing, but due to the fact that this game is in Japanese and has a ton of dialogues, I cannot understand a single word of it, even though I already played the game in English and beat it. But I didn't remember to have so much dialogue. And that is, of course, Trace in the Sky, first chapter, Evolution, the fantastic HD remake on the Vita. I mean, this is what we're missing, due to the fact that we're barely having these games in English. But on the Vita, I mean, I tried this. I played for like 2 hours. It's so good. I mean, there's plenty of voice acting. The graphic is all better. The music is more symphonic in a way. It's Trace in the Sky on steroids, basically. And in Japan, they're having all of this, the Sora no Kiseki games like this. They have second chapter, the third, Zero no Kiseki. I think there's also Ao no Kiseki Evolution. I mean, it's fantastic. One of the greatest RPG, a fantastic version of that game. It's such a pain that we're not having this along many other games that we're missing on the Vita, because it's the Vita. I cannot stress that enough, simply because the Vita, it's not a successful system. Unfortunately, mainly because of Sony, we're missing a lot. The game that I'm playing right now on the Vita, simply because I want to finish it, I played most of it, like, most of the game was done in December or something, but then we had second chapter, then I started to play Trace of Cold Steel and all those RPGs, so this game, of course, was pushed aside, and then it's the amazing Killzone Mercenary. I'm trying to finish it right now. This game is super fun. It's perfect first-person shooter on the Vita. It plays very well. It looks amazing. I love sneaking up to enemies and assassinate them, but also like the gameplay is great. I mean, it's a fantastic first-person shooter, and it's probably the best on the system, and it's a lot of fun. The game that made me buy the Vita, because interesting enough, originally I wanted to buy the Vita because of Phantasy Star Nova, but naturally Sega decided to not releasing that game outside of Japan, of course. So I start waiting. I said, I have to have a reason to buy the Vita. But then I remember of a certain game. I say, wait a second, there is another game that probably the Vita is worth owning for, and it's totally worth it. And that is, of course, the fantastic Ys Memories of Celceta, the remake, we can say, a complete remake of the one of the Ys games I want to play the most, and that is Ys 4, and also Mask of the Sun in a way. What can I say? This Ys game is fantastic. Between this and 7, I cannot say which one is my favorite modern Ys game, because I love the combat system in this, even more the gameplay rather than combat of these two, rather than Oath in Felghana and Origin, for example. But Celceta, it's fantastic. It looks amazing. The soundtrack, it's so good, like all Ys games. I like the characters, probably even more than 7 in the long way, especially the secondary characters, because there's always Adol. And naturally, we all know that Ys 8, what's the name? Something of Dana? I cannot remember now. Ys 8 is coming. I don't know if they will release on the Vita as well, but for sure it will be released on PS4, and that is mind-blowing. But Celceta, it's worth owning a Vita for this game. This is phenomenal, to say the least. It's a fantastic game. And I'm so angry at the fact that I couldn't receive the trophy. I don't care about trophies, but with this one I was so close, since there was one for exploring 100% of the map. And I had like 98 or 99%. I was like, oh no, because of course when it's 1% you don't know what's missing. I was so pissed off, but fantastic game. Now this is probably my favorite game on the Vita, even more than Celceta. It's the same company, you might guess naturally. It's the amazing Trails of Cold Steel. What a game. Fantastic, classic JRPG, great story, great characters, fantastic music. I love the simple combat system. So good. It's the continuation of the Trails of series. It takes place right after the Zero and Ao no Kiseki story. There's a ton of references to those games and to the Trace in the Sky trilogy. It's fantastic. I mean, if you like the Legend of Heroes games, if you like JRPGs, this is an absolute must on the Vita. Technically, it's also on PS3, but get it on the Vita. I mean, if you can play it, it's portable. I cannot stress that. Portable gaming, it's perfect for RPGs. I think I played this for like at least 75 hours or more or something. It's a huge game, but it's so good. I finished once. I probably want to replay it a bit. And naturally, Trails of Cold Steel 2, it's coming, and I cannot wait. And now I'm kind of regretting not buying the special edition of this one, because after I say, oh well, I'll get the special edition of Cold Steel 2, they're not making it. I was like, oh, son of a bitch. But a huge thanks to, well, technically Exceed, but here in Europe we got it by NIS, so I don't know, we'll see. But I'm so happy that we're having these games. I mean, but as I said, my favorite game on the Vita probably, and it's absolutely phenomenal. If you love RPGs, this is an absolute must. And finally, yes, my final game on the Vita, as you can see, not a massive console, not a massive collection, and this is the last game I bought. And spoiler alert, it will be the next game I'm gonna play on the Vita, and that is The Wolf Among Us. Very dark cover. I love these Telltale games. I heard so many good things about it, and I'm such a huge fan of film noirs that I heard this is basically a film noir-ish game. So very curious about it. Heard a lot of good stuff, and these Telltale games are really, really good. And as I said, they're perfect for the Vita, and I cannot wait to play this game. So I'm sure that I'm gonna love it. I heard a very good review by the funny video game nerd, or just funny nerd. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. It's early in the morning, and but he said a lot of good things about the game, and I cannot wait to play it now. And that's it for the Vita. Yes, not a massive collection, as you can see. They're all here, but it's growing. There are a lot of games that I want to buy, but sometimes they're pricey, or I'm playing others at the moment, so it's a work in progress. But I love the system so much, and I also have some PS1 RPGs on there because remember there's the PSN that it increases by infinite the library of the Vita, and I cannot say how much I love this system. It's one of my favorite portable systems ever. I still need to get a 3DS in the future, and as I said, when I bought Celceta with the Vita, it's the second time that I skipped the 3DS. Before was the PSP, now the Vita. So now the only thing that's missing here is the 3DS. Okay, let's move to the Game Boy Advance. Again, another massive collection here, but I like it. I like my games. And again, it's growing because the Game Boy Advance is a fantastic system. It's really good. I'm really, really liking it. Let's start with my 3 NES classic games. First of all, with the one that I will never finish, and the most frustrating of the 3, and that is the original Metroid. This game. I love Metroid as a series. It's one of my favorite. It's always between Metroid and Zelda, to say my favorite Nintendo series. I absolutely love it, but this game, it's so hard. I mean, without a guide, I'm sure that no one can finish this game. Every time I heard someone saying I beat Metroid, they're always talking about because I had a guide, like at least a map or something. Because you're going to be lost in this game. It's too difficult. It's too, I don't even know if it's old school is the correct term. It's insane. And I love it. It's a really cool NES classic, but it's just too much. The next one, this is a huge nostalgia game for me, and it's of course the original Castlevania. And I'm so proud to say that last year I was able to finally beat this son of a bitch, because this game is so hard. Without save states, no tricks, just my own my own skills and patience were tested to the limit in order to beat the first Castlevania. But when I did, it was a great day, because I've been playing this game since my early NES days. I never owned it on the NES. A friend of mine had it. I played so much, but back then I was never able to beat the Grim Reaper. And recently, between the Reaper itself and the Grim Reaper, because Mass Effect's trademark now, between the Grim Reaper, the corridor before the Grim Reaper, and the battle against Dracula, this game has an insane difficulty spike towards the end. But I love it so much. I love the Castlevania series, and it's no wonder that I prefer the classic side-scroll action gameplay over the Metroidvania. See, because I grew up with them. I played this as a kid. I played Super Castlevania 4, Castlevania 3, and these games way before I played the Metroidvania. So, and I love the Metroidvania games. It's simply I prefer the others. Oh, this is another good one of my childhood, and that is Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link. The Adventure of Link. Sad story here again. I never owned it on the NES. I missed it mainly because my cousin, she had an NES with like 5 games or something, and one of those was Zelda 2. One day, basically, I went to her house and said, well, since you don't play your NES, how about giving your games to me, since on the other hand, I play it a lot. And they said, I would love to, but small problem, I gave them to someone else. I went, what? I said, the main reason why I wanted her games is because of Zelda 2. So I waited years, and then at the end I decided to buy this Game Boy Advance version, and I played a lot, but I couldn't finish it, mainly because at one point I stopped playing it, and basically I had to start all over again because I don't remember where I'm supposed to go. Let's move to this one. My only experience with the Tales of series is with Tales of Fantasia. I played most of this game. I still need, I think, to do something before like the final section of the game. We'll see. But I really like it. With the Tales of series, I decided to start from the beginning. And it's a really good early RPG. I think the original one was on the Super Famicom, if I'm correct. It wasn't 8-bit, right? I don't remember because I'm not too much into the Tales of series. But it's a really cool one. I really like it. I want to finish it and play more Tales games. That's for sure. I like the characters. I love the time travel, of course. That's always cool. The combat system is a bit clunky, but because it's a very, very old one. I know that the Tales of series went a long way. What else? Let's go with the other Castlevanias, because as you can see, I'm a huge Castlevania fan, and I'm trying to collect as many games as I can and play and beat them. Now, this one said simply Castlevania, while it is actually Circle of the Moon, the first Castlevania game released on the Game Boy Advance. And it was the first time that Konami actually tried to import the Metroidvania style to a portable system, because before that, on the Game Boy Color, we only had more traditional Castlevania games. And this is the first one to introduce the portable Metroidvania. It's kind of archaic in that way for a Metroidvania game, but it's also a good one. It's very hard, but it's a very good one. When the series really, the Game Boy Advance entries really improved, it was with Harmony of Dissonance. Fantastic Metroidvania game. The only problem with this one is that the music is kind of crappy. Because I think they had to make some sacrifices in order to put everything in this small Game Boy Advance cart. It's a huge game. It's quite good. I really like it. But I think that without a doubt, the best Game Boy Advance Castlevania has to be Aria of Sorrow, the prequel, of Dawn of Sorrow on the DS. Really, really good. It introduced the character and the storyline of Soma Cruz. The story, it's interesting, although a bit out there. The characters are, especially the villain, I have to say, is quite crazy. But I finished this game as much as possible. Got like the bad ending, the good ending, the best ending, everything. And it's a fantastic Castlevania. I think this is the good entry point in the Game Boy Advance series, probably because it's the most welcoming in a way. Classic Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls. I couldn't remember. This is how I play and beat Final Fantasy 1, and this is how I play and hate Final Fantasy 2. Final Fantasy 2 is my least favorite Final Fantasy because I hate the stupid level system. I mean, that you have like to take damage in order to improve your HPs. I mean, it's an interesting one, but done very, I think, could have done much better. I don't know. I kind of want to try again, but I have so many other games I want to play first, so it will be a long time before I try Final Fantasy 2 again. And yeah, I really don't like it. And it's interesting because it seems like the first Final Fantasy that introduced like an actual story, pre-named characters with some sort of development. I mean, I'm so curious about it, but I hate it. I hate it so much. It's also kind of, I think, not kinda, but I think it is open world. So I basically ended up in an area where the enemies basically did like 999 damages to my level 3 characters. So we'll see. Another excellent game on the Game Boy Advance is without a doubt Zelda: The Minish Cap. I still need to finish it, but I am in Bati's castle. I'm close to the end. I don't remember why I stopped playing it actually, but it's a really, really good Zelda game. I really enjoyed it. Interesting ideas, a lot of fun, excellent gameplay. It's top-down Zelda. How can you go wrong with that? Fantastic entry in the series. This is a game I still need to play, but I'm very curious about it. Rebel Star Tactical Command, not Commando. I wasn't sure. I couldn't read very well. It's very small. This is a sci-fi strategy RPG. Very curious. It's one of the few games actually that I have the box, because as you can see, all the cartridges. But I also have one box, and it looks very fun and interesting. I cannot wait to play this game, because I love strategy RPGs, and there are quite a few on the Game Boy Advance. I still need to get, I don't have it, I still need to get Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Now we're getting into all like amazing games. Let's start with Final Fantasy V. It's finished this game last year. This is one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. I say that after my untouchable favorites 6 and 9, this is the following one. I prefer 5 over 4. I even say that. I like the story. It's not the best one, but it's a kind of solid story. The job system is unbelievably good. That's the main reason. You play this for the gameplay, which is fantastic. It's a fantastic Final Fantasy game. I cannot stress that enough. Metroid Zero Mission. This is how I finished the first Metroid. It's a excellent remake of the original Metroid. It's even bigger and more difficult, especially because there is an entire section at the end of the game. But excellent. If you like Metroid, if you own a Game Boy Advance, you need to play Zero Mission. And the phenomenal Metroid Fusion, the sequel of the incredible Super Metroid. Wow, this game, it's so good. I don't have to say anything else. It's really, really good. I love these Metroid games. Okay, I have these plastic shells. Let's see if I can manage to open them. There we go. Since my recently finished Golden Sun and Golden Sun The Lost Age. Fantastic RPGs. This series is so good now that I've beat all 3 of the games. Golden Sun is absolutely brilliant for mainly the story. I mean, technically these were supposed to be one big game on the N64. They got split up and made on the Game Boy Advance. It's not a problem because it's really nice. And my personal favorite is The Lost Age. Well, the third game in the series is on the DS, as you know, but Golden Sun, it's a reason to own a Game Boy Advance, basically. They're that good. I mean, these are fantastic, phenomenal RPGs. They're really, really good. And last but not least, how can I not own Breath of Fire 1 and Breath of Fire 2 on a Game Boy Advance? Breath of Fire 2 is together with Breath of Fire 3. It's really hard for me to say which one is my favorite. It really depends on the day because Breath of Fire 2 is my favorite Super Nintendo game. And one of my favorite games of all time, one of my favorite RPG of all time. And as you know, Breath of Fire is my favorite RPG series. I have an insane amount of love for that series. It all started with Breath of Fire 1. Really good. I mean, it's by nowadays standards, it's quite really old school, quite archaic in a way. But I love so much this game. It's amazing. Like all Breath of Fire games, there are some really powerful moments in the story, very sad ones, especially 2 of them in particular were really, really sad. But this is where the series got really sky high. I mean, the story in this is amazing. It's really dark, really good. The bad ending of Breath of Fire 2 is one of the saddest you'll ever see in a video game. But I'm also managed to get the best ending, which is fantastic. But this game for me is basically perfection. I love everything about it. And it's so good. The Breath of Fire games on the Game Boy Advance, you can play them on the go. I don't understand why Capcom wouldn't remake them like with HD sprites or something. That since we're in the HD remake generation now, every game gets a remake. Why not Breath of Fire? Because it's Capcom, baby. They don't do what we want and what it's best for them. So that's it. Also for the Game Boy Advance and for this part 3. Tune in next time. Oh, wait a second. False alarm. I forgot one item here. It's not Game Boy Advance, but it's Game Boy Color, so it's Game Boy related, and it's a great way to end this video actually. And that is, with the box, Grandia Parallel Trippers. As I said, I know it's not Game Boy Advance, but still, I love Grandia. It's my favorite game art series. And this is a cool collector item for my collection. I'll never play this, but so unfortunately the box is not in perfect condition, but I don't care. It's Grandia. I want all the Grandias because it's one of my favorite series of all time. So, and that's definitely it. That's it for my PS Vita, Game Boy Advance, and my Game Boy Color collection. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Tune in next time for my part 4 and my part 4 video with my soundtrack collection, which is also nothing special, but it's still game related, so I can put everything back into the shelves and move on with my life, since I basically have to reorder the entire house now. So thank you very much for watching, like always, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Take care.